Hello Amiga fans, are you ready to spend some money? What's in this box is going to make this mofo fly. You already know what it is from the title and the description, so I'm going to play my intro anyway. Alright, so welcome to the channel. My name's Chris. This is what I do. What are we doing today on Amiga stuff? Today on the show, we're going to be reviewing what's in this box. This is the Pistorm32, and it is on sale right now from AmigaKit, and its price is cheaper than anybody's out there. I'm going to first do some benchmarks on my 1200. This is the NTSC Amiga 1200 with the Terrible Fire TF1230, and if you recall in the past, I soldered an FPU on board, which we're going to have to remove when we're doing an emulated FPU because the real one and the fake one are going to fight, and it'll just green screen, or yellow screen, or not boot at all. It has the TF1230, it also has the AmigaKit sensors battery backed up clock, which gives you a temperature display. Now I'm in Fahrenheit, I'm at 91 degrees. This CPU temperature probe is taped with some thermal tape and some scotch tape right on the processor. It's over a year old, so it's doing pretty good. That's my battery backed up clock. As far as speed goes on the TF1230, we're going to run sysinfo 4.4. It has 2 meg, of course, your normal, I'm NTSC, I'm in double NTSC high-res laced for my display. How does this look so clear? I'm running an AGA Scan Plus. Now this is a 68030, 68882 with an 030 MMU, real deal. I believe it's running at 51 megahertz. And it has 64 megs of onboard RAM. So 51.8, 9,130 dry stone per second, 9.53 million instructions per second, and 0.43 million floating operations per second. Why does this suck? Because the onboard FPU that I put in is only running at the stock 14.3 megahertz. So that's fine, no big deal. Memory, we have 64-bit, 32-bit fast RAM, and 2 mega chip, and that's it. Drive speed, the built-in compact flash card on the Retro Rewind buffered IDE CF device is 1.3. If I smack it for cash, 1.68. But the original first hit, 1.3720. So about 1.31 megabytes per second. Not too bad for a 1992 machine. DH1 is a second partition. It's going to be the same thing. Cache speed 1.3 and then a 1.68 if you're lucky. So the next feature I'm going to run is AIBB. I'm going to keep the monitor zoomed out because this monitor will have to focus again since I'm in a high resolution for it. I'm going to run the 68020 coprocessor math. That's the only one I can do. You can do 68,000 or 68020. Amiga Intuition based benchmark 6.5 from Lamont Coupe. We all use it. It's a great version. You can see here though that my CPU clock is 50 and my FPU clock is 14.3, and that is because the FPU clock I only am running off the stock clock. There are options to increase that clock, but because I could be removing it based on what card I'm putting in, I left it on 14.3. Beach ball, this is where the monitor will freak out and then it'll catch up and auto adjust. And then we'll run these same tests on the Pistorm32 after I show you how to set it up. Boom. So we're at 18.82 seconds. This is the Amiga 4000. Here's me. But here's the stock Amiga 1200. Way down there. So I'm 16.22 times faster. But that's all the tests I really need to run on this. We're going to get into the Pistorm32 itself and what it looks like. How do I assemble it? Do I have to assemble it? How do I make this software thing? Can I just download something and push a button? I don't feel like building anything. Yes, answers to all of those questions coming up. I'll bust it into chapters, so feel free to skip along to the points that you need ahead. Okay, so I've alcoholed off my work surface. I am wearing the strap on my feet, and this is also anti-static mat. Inside the AmigaKit kit, you're going to get your appropriate spacers and screws and a pad for your GPIO. You're also going to get a pad either on or in your bag for the grounding point on the back where the Pistorm CPU will sit. There is a slot cut out right here. That is for the camera I/O board clip thing. And there are also 4 holes for your 4-pin header on your Raspberry Pi 3B Plus or better. This is my Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. These are the 4 jumper points I was talking about. I snipped mine off long ago because I had it in something else. These are the heat sink pads that come with it. I had physical heat sinks on mine for the CPU and the other chip, which I removed because of clearance issues. And that's why this has a special reverse GPIO connector, and I'm going to tell you about. Nothing is different in the Raspberry Pi. It is a stock standard Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, 4 USB, and an Ethernet port. Built-in Wi-Fi, the normal stuff. The Pistorm32 looks really nice. It's super thin. The quality of the connector is important. Depending on your builder, we've seen many complaints about angled connectors, machines sitting with the board cocked up. AmigaKit did a really good job. These are the new slot connectors. The original ones, including on my TF1230, had to be sanded down on a corner to fit the angled click that's on the belly slot. You'll know what I'm talking about. Even the focus doesn't do it justice, but yeah, it is super small. I have no idea what all this stuff does except some capacitors and some voltage regulators. I don't know if these are buffers. I don't know anything about this. All I know is Claude did an awesome job with the documentation and the build sheets of this. The quality of this build is really nice. There's protective tape on top of the screw holders, and we're going to get into that too. Let's get to assembly. 3 white screws and 3 spacers. Flip your board over, and on your Raspberry Pi, if you choose to pull this up, okay, we want this connector to be raised, otherwise it will not fit through. It needs a little bit of wiggle room, okay? If you don't use it, and you're never going to use it, you could even snap that off if you never gave a crap. We want to orient the card appropriately, so your SD card should be facing the connector. You're going to slip in the little bit of your camera connector through. Camera connector through. See that? I slipped it in there. And at the meantime, I'm lining these holes up, and I'm going to push these down lightly. I'm not going to slam them down. Why? Because I have to put the screws in these plastic spacers in. Okay? So I'm going to put a plastic spacer underneath of this, right? I'm not like, I'm just sitting it on a table, and I'm going to put a screw in it. Now, it's not going to be perfectly 100% in line right now. I'm just getting a screw started. Don't man tighten this, just barely snug it. I'm going to rotate this around again. I'm going to put a plastic spacer right here and slide it in. And then I'm going to repeat the screw process. Again, I'm not tightening up because I'm not totally in line because of the Ethernet and USB ports. I don't want to crank on this yet. Just getting some screws started, that's all. Couple turns, get that one in there, and I'm going to raise the board up and put the screw in. You don't have to man tighten these down or woman tighten them. You can just give them a little snug. You just want it to be on there. You're going to notice that the connector is very close. That's why you want these risers on there, these pads. This is facing the bottom of the keyboard. So that leads us to our next thing. In your bag of goodies that I just dropped on the floor, you will get a cutout of a piece of rubber. That goes over the GPIO pins here and the screw. Okay, from screw to screw. Just cover this up with this rubbery stuff. If you don't have the rubbery stuff, it's like literally rubbery stuff. Just, it's thicky, sticky rubber. It's only sticky on the one side. This is smooth. This is to protect your keyboard when you put your keyboard down. In case it were to ground out, you would not want it to ground out your GPIO pins. So give it a nice squish. Not too hard. You don't want to poke through it. Okay? That is the assembly of the hardware. You can use a 3A, 3B Plus, or a Pi 4. Okay, we're going to open this cookie up. I've removed the screws. I'm going to remove my keyboard entirely for this exercise. This is a hard membrane with the replacement hard circuit board thing where you remove the top uppy downy plastic thing. Alright, this is my 1200, which could be considered a mess, but it is Frankenstein-y but functional. I'll go over the components real quick. This is a buffered compact flash adapter with master slave and a 44-pin pass-through from Retro Rewind. This is the AGA Scan Plus. This is the Terrible Fire TF1230. This is the AmigaKit clock port sensors module, and these are Hyperion's Kickstart 3.2 ROMs that I purchased when it first came out. I have the original CPU, the 020, the Lisa, Alice, and the RAM and the video DAC and Paula are all heat sinked. I am running a Berg splitter, so I have a longer cable for my GoTech, mainly because I didn't have one, and a super long floppy cable again because I did not have one. This long gray thing that goes underneath is for a VGA output from the AGA Scan Plus. Step one is I'm going to need my PLCC extractor, and I'm going to pull the FPU out of here. Just a simple squeeze. It should come out no problem. We'll set that aside. I'm going to pull off the heat sink from the Amiga from the Terrible Fire, and we're going to remove that card entirely. This is the TF1230, 64 megs of RAM, Xilinx SoC, buffers, Stephen Leary, great job. Another consideration with this is HDMI. So for example and testing purposes, I have HDMI to my monitor. So what I will do is I will set up this to be HDMI, and this will be the VGA RGB. So first I'm going to plug in the Pistorm. Perfect, fits fine. No connector issues, went right in. I'm going to give it a wiggle, a jiggle, and a push again, because that's how these things work. Inside here I have a 32 gig card of I don't know what. I will put that in my SD card reader. So that is hardware installation. Once again, my sensors module is up to me. I could just put it on something for fun. So what I'm going to first do is just a simple copy of the Pistorm boot kernel and the files that are necessary to make it work. A Kickstart ROM, I own 3.2, so I'll copy a ROM similar to it in a hard file because the Pistorm needs it. 32, I don't know if it runs off your regular Kickstarts. I'm just going to follow the instructions on the AmigaKit wiki, which I'll link everything in the description below step by step, and we'll go from there. Here we go. With the Pistorm32, there are, of course, a simple, a medium, and a more complicated way to build your image for EMU68. For this example, I'm going to first show you how to build a blank image, and then we'll get into a similar type of EMU68 build as I did previously, carving out a Type 76 hard drive partition on your micro SD card. So let's get started. On my desktop, I have a 32 gig micro SD card that is just basically blank. It is in a reader. That's what all these other things are. Your disk drives and letters will vary, and all of my other crap here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the start button and go to run. And I'm going to type disk, oh, it's already in there, mgmt.msc, and that's going to bring up the disk management. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't need 32 gigabytes just for the EMU68 loader. So I'm going to delete this volume, and then I'm going to right click and say new simple volume, and I'm going to give it about, I don't know, I don't even need 500 megs, but I'll do 500 megabytes. Next, sign a drive letter. I'm going to call it boot, just out of habit. Alright, and you see I have 30 gigs free here. Now I'm not going to carve out that partition just yet. So now that I have the boot drive here, now you can see it's 500 megabytes. I've already downloaded all the junk I need. Okay? So on the AmigaKit wiki, which I'll pull up here to show you, they have a full step-by-step installation of everything on this unit, from the placement of the Pi to mounting it to how to software config, and this is what we're going to do right here. So this is the medium, as I call it, and this is the more involved, kind of like what I showed before in my EMU68 video last year, 2022. I've downloaded all this stuff, and I have it in a folder called Pistorm32 Lite. There's a file called ps32-lite-bin.gz. We want to rename that to firmware.bin.gz and plop that right there. Next, this zip file, which I've already unpacked over here. This zip file, we're just going to right click and extract here. Boop. Now, without touching a thing, I'm going to need a kickstart ROM. Temp. Alright, I have my 3.2. I have 3.2.1, 3.1.4. Let's rock 3.1.4. I haven't done that in a while. ROMs. This is my own copy. Alright. Kick 1200. Whatever. I'm going to copy this over here. Copy it without properties. That's fine. And I'm going to rename this file to kick.rom. With that all done, I'm going to take this card, I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to leave my compact flash undone for a second. I'm going to hook up HDMI. Alright, we just went in with the fattest black one you have ever seen. She barely took it, but she took it. Left monitor is going to be HDMI. Right monitor is going to be the Amiga ROM screen. I have my compact flash unplugged. We should see EMU68, hopefully, and a ROM screen. Here we go. Energize. Perfect. And perfect. This is build 15th January 2023. EMU68 0.11.4. Keep that in mind. I opened a GitHub ticket because the 25th January image caused green screens. So, important safety tip. I'm now plugging in my compact flash card. Now remember, this is still just my stuff. And then we'll go for the Type 76 partitions and take it from there. This is getting wobbly. Alright, here we go. Energize. Low, high. There's the CPU kicking on. Pistorm logo. And my hard drive light is a blinking. Will be the RTG area of your Amiga display. This is your standard graphics. Because I do not have RTG drivers installed, we will just be seeing this logo. I'm going to run the same tests that we ran the first time, which was sysinfo and AIBB. 2 megs of chip, 897, 952 fast. That's a little bit of an improvement. Now remember, this is still a Pi 3B+. or only, I don't know, is speed. Holy moly, 846,109 dry stone per second, 883.20 million instructions per second, 828.56 million floating operations per second. Wow, that's awesome. Drive speed, I don't think I'm going to see anything past 1.6. It's just the limitation of the IDE controller. DH0. I have 300 buffers on this bad boy too. Speed, yeah, 1.638,400. If I smack it, that's it. So I don't know if that's a cached or that's just maximum. That's all you're going to get. Importantest part for you gaming folk and audiophiles. Chip speed has been fixed. Normally it's 3. It's still 1.5. It's better than the 0.9 that it was. This is the 32-bit Pistorm. Amiga Intuition based benchmarks. Again, the comparison system is an Amiga 1200. Come on. Comparison system, Amiga 1200. We're going to run the 020 coprocessor math test of Beach Ball. It's so fast it couldn't even display the graphic. Holy crap, 0.6 seconds. I am 497.72 times faster than itself. So it's just a small improvement in speed. Wow. Wow, let me do dry stones here. Yeah, it's almost vampire-like, where you click it and it's like, boop. Yeah, there's no way on God's green earth that 6,848.8 megahertz is coming out of a 1.8 gigahertz Pi. Let's see how smooth it plays. Oh, yes. This is a great demo. It requires a 100 megahertz 060, which this machine can emulate through sheer horsepower. Now, I'm not in PAL, so that's why it's boop. Just a test. I clicked the mouse, that's the escape. It's really, really, really good. We come in peace, final, elude. That's a super hard one to keep up with. It relies specifically on a wave file for timing and a very tight clock. Let's give her a go. Perfect. What you're looking for is the hieroglyphics at the bottom of the screen. I gotta match the perfect. This is a great demo. If you've never seen this demo, great demo. So, that is my card. All I'm doing is running the EMU68 Pistorm32 with HDMI as an accelerator. Let's test out the latest caffeine from Pedro. Links in the description below. Same thing as writing Amiga, you just write in the caffeine image. Everything's all set up, ready to go. Since you have a real Amiga, you got real ROMs, you have no worries. I'm doing nothing but removing my compact flash card from my boot thingy. I'm not going to pull this off because I think I broke it and it's hanging on by a thread. This is CaffeineOS. I forget the build. It's the January 2023 one. Here we go. It'll be RTG on this screen with the 15 kilohertz stuff on this screen. That's your Amiga 1000 caffeine ROM. Ooh, purple. Alright. 15th of January 2023. Same build I'm using. Boot it really quick. These are hard drive partitions that are type 76. This is not a hard drive image. This info on this image. Put it on with a Gotek, because it didn't have it. That's going to run over here in this window. Now, speed-wise, nothing's going to change Pi-wise. It's the same Pi. It's the same, pretty much real close to it. What I want is disk test here. So 1615, 1222 times, yep, we're good. It's the same thing. 1.59 chip speed. I want drives. DH0 speed. 21 megabytes per second versus 1 point whatever. This is still a hard drive. It is, yeah, 21 on DH1. It is a hard drive because it's an actual partition on the SD card. Memory. We have 756 megabytes of 32-bit. Another 112. That gives us our 8 whatever. 512K slow. That's where the kickstart's being remapped to. And 2 megs of onboard chip memory. Nice. Now, Caffeine is a fully loaded RTG tribute to Amiga OS from Pedro. It runs on Directory Opus Magellan. It's based off of the Apollo OS, but it runs on a real Amiga with real kickstarts. There's a couple different versions of this floating around. This is the new one with the online updater. I don't know about networking. I'm not going to get into that, but up here at the top you have network, and you can, where is it? Wireless LAN prefs. You run this little setup here, and it will walk you through the change WPA, and you can set up your SSID. So you can use this turnkey, no mess. If you go into stuff, there's a great emulators folder, a lot like the Amiga OS and the Coffin. You get like Scum, Mac OS, Shapeshifter's already on there, fully set up, the Neo Geo stuff with some basic games, Atari, that's ST on Amiga, and Stella. Great job on the icons, Pedro. Sinclair for your ZX stuff. 64, it's the Magic 64. MAME, of course, is the arcade machine emulator. Scum is the PC PC games ports to the Amiga. And you have all the basics, same ones that came on Amiga, same ones that came on Coffin, same ones that came on Apollo. But this isn't a review of Caffeine. This is just a speed test to see and show you how you can set up and build your own Pistorm32 with simple and ease from AmigaKit. Super inexpensive. The cheapest prices in the world, I believe, right now. I believe there are 50 of these available at the time of my filming this. When I release this, there could be up to 100. They were ordering more boards, I was told. So right now, whip out your credit card, PayPal account, your mom's checkbook, I don't know. Whatever you got, go raid the penny jar. These are well under 80 US dollars for me, and I don't know what that is in the old British monies. Pistorm32 Lite for Commodore Amiga coming soon. This is supposed to be released the 20th of February 2023, but guess what, guys? If you add this to your cart right now, boom. AmigaKit.com, that is 79 British pounds or 76 US dollars. I guess my dollars are covering a little bit. Just go to AmigaKit.com, search Pistorm32 Lite, 76 bones. Now, you have to provide your own Raspberry Pi. Don't forget that part. And, once again, if you are doing the hardware FPU like I did for my TF1230, remember to pop that bad boy out so you don't have any hardware conflicts with FPUs. And if you're running Caffeine, you don't need your boot device. Type 76 hard drives I have covered in my EMU68 how-to video. I did a base 3.14 or 3.2 setup on those, so you can check out that video. I'll link it below in the description. So if you go to wiki.amiga.org, there's a section on Amiga 1200, and then in that section is the Pistorm32. Gives credit to Claude, who created it. Speeds up the Amiga 1200 by leveraging Raspberry Pi's computational power. It's just incredible. Exactly how to set it up with a thermal pad and the little sheet thing, a little rubber dude. the installation, the software. This is the one that I did with you guys online. This is the more involved carving out a Type 76 hard drive partition that I cover in my Pistorm video. So it's up to you, or you can just cheat, and I'll link the caffeine image from Pedro also on archive.org. You'll have to torrent that yourself. It's just a link to the files and the world, like Amiga shares them. So this has been the AmigaKit rendition of the Pistorm32 by Claude Schwartz, and you can get yours today. There's a limited quantity, so act now or forever lose your place. There will be more, you just might have to wait. That's all I got for now. Thank you guys for coming along on this hopefully informational and educational journey. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.
What do you know from funny, you bastard?